get his defense to be more sure tackling here in the second half.
Couple tight ends, another burst. Oh, they got a foot race now with Cisco. There he goes. Look at the big man.
Well, Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans one more time. That's a house of horrors for our Jaguars franchise, and never more evident than yesterday as the Jags lose that football game and lose the AFC South and go from first to second after holding first place in the AFC South for 2 months.
And obviously a disappointing end to a season that had so much hope in Jacksonville. Coming off last year, we thought they arrived early. This would be the next step, maybe even a chase into the Super Bowl, and not even a playoff berth for the Jaguars. Major disappointment and breaking news to lead off Jags Report Live right now.
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live, coming to you live from Sneakers, sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
It's going to be a long offseason, like I said, for us and what people want to say about us, but it doesn't really matter. I think it's going to put that chip back on our shoulder, and we know we got to get better and got a lot of things to work on.
That's Trevor Lawrence, and now the answer searching begins. There's a lot of questions in Jacksonville, and this was supposed to be a big offseason for Trevor Lawrence and maybe a big payday. Will that happen? Just part of the conversation that needs to take place in Jacksonville. Welcome to Sneakers, everybody.
Yeah, we're live at Sneakers for the season finale. Thank you to all the fans who've made their way out here. The food's great. The mood is not. It was a tough loss, and we're going to start the program with breaking news as we just learned something being reported nationally.
Yeah, it looks like the national folks are saying that Mike Caldwell, defensive coordinator of the Jags, has been let go. So we'll try to get some more information of that. And we wondered if there would be a shakeup in Jacksonville in any capacity. Now we wonder, is this it? Are you surprised at all?
I thought, yeah, I am. I'm a little bit surprised just in the respect that, you know, I thought it might be on the offensive side, but Doug has a long-standing relationship with Press Taylor, and today he reiterated he thought he did a good job, didn't talk as much about the defensive side of the ball. And then when you look up at the collapse that happened, and really it's the biggest collapse in Jags history, somebody had to be held accountable, and they're going to point the fingers, I guess, at Mike Caldwell today. Yeah. So it's unfortunate. I don't like to see anybody lose their job, but that apparently is breaking now as we are here tonight.
Yeah, been inconsistent on that defensive side of the ball last couple of years. Had some unbelievable moments and higher than we expected moments.
You know, the tough breaks this year really with the defensive side, and they were really good early on. A lot of people just were like, okay, well, can the defense be good enough? The offense has got to carry them. Well, in the beginning of the year, the defense carried the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's no question about it, but they got the turnovers, remember? And then the turnovers stopped coming, and then they were able to throw the ball against that defense, and you know, in the end, it cost Mike Caldwell and Derrick Henry's performance yesterday as well.
Yeah, more on all of this as we continue here. We'll take it until 8 o'clock on Jags Report Live from Sneakers. Let's talk more about the collapse. Obviously, there's some surface issues here. And the bottom line is this was a really bad loss and a really discouraging end to the season. Just 6 weeks ago, the Jags were 8-3, vying for a top seed, Monday Night Football, primetime. This place was rocking.
Right.
And, man, sports are cruel sometimes. It just came crashing down.
And it came crashing down like everywhere, right? I mean, everything kind of that could go wrong did go wrong. The offense wasn't good enough. The defense wasn't good enough. The kicking game wasn't good enough. The coaching staff wasn't good enough. Then we started to look at the roster, and you thought maybe that wasn't good enough. So they're just kind of could point fingers in every which way, and it's up to the higher-ups of the Jaguars, guys who get paid a lot more money than we do, to figure this out in the offseason. The quarterback wasn't good enough. I mean, we'll discuss Trevor Lawrence tonight, but quite frankly, he didn't take the step that we all thought he was going to take, Brent, this year.
Here's Doug Peterson on Monday, just a short time ago, reassessing or assessing, and still more of that to come this season.
At this time, I haven't. I'm still processing everything. You know, obviously we just finished the season, so I'm going to take the next little bit here and you know, think about everything. You know, obviously with the way we finished, and it's not where we want to be. You feel like now the season's sort of wasted, right? Because you had a great opportunity, you know, to win the division, and we didn't. So we have to live with that. We got to learn from it. I still feel like we still have the best football ahead of us moving forward.
The game plan is brought to you by Bluebird Hardwater. Have a Bluebird day.
Well, here's the deal.
Yeah.
You got to get more W's and find a way to get it right? I mean, there are a lot of questions right now in Jacksonville. It's a busy offseason, and when you have this many questions, then you got to hit on the answers more often than not.
Well, here, you said here's the deal, and everybody knows this. The NFL is a results-oriented business, no matter what, and don't ever forget it. It's results and it's business, and those are the two things that you cannot. We can build all the team we want, we can have all the chemistry we want, we can have great guys all we want, but if you don't have the W's, and you get the L's, then things change.
One thing you appreciate about the players in that locker room, they know it. It's exactly what Dan said.
I think that's no secret that we weren't great in short yardage this year, and a lot goes into that. That's passing game, that's running game, that's a lot of different things that go into that, and every play is a little different why you don't have success, but that's something obviously that we need to get better at. And I don't have the exact answer for what that is right now, but it's something we're going to look at this offseason. I know our staff's going to look at and figure out how we get better.
I don't know why it was so hard. I feel like we make it much harder than it has to be. I feel like at the end of the day, it's just football. And we have to keep it simple at times. We can do that a lot of times, and I feel like that's why things can go our way most of the time.
Yeah, one of those guys are answering as the Jags have to get physical, right? In the trenches, they got to be a little more physical. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, teams like that. They've got to get a step up in that category. We're getting a little bit more physical on the show tonight here on Jags Report Live. We're well protected, Dan.
Yes.
You got Leon Searcy, Jags great, here with us.
Yeah.
You got the blind side covered. And, hey, big shout-out to this guy, Davon Hamilton, for coming on. I told him before the show, I said, hey, this is an easy one to cancel. But he was scheduled to come, and he showed up, and we appreciate you being here.
No problem.
Yeah.
And you'll walk right into a buzzsaw, man. I mean, the moment you come on, we get breaking news that your defensive coordinator is being let go. I guess the immediate reaction and feelings about that.
I'm a bit surprised, honestly. I mean, I didn't see that coming, but that's how the game is, That's how the business is, and I really will miss him, and he was a great coach for us.
Yeah, I know you can't put your finger on one thing, but when you look back at this season, you guys were 8-3, sailing along great, playing for the number 1 seed. In your mind, what happened down the stretch over this last month?
I mean, really, we just couldn't finish games. We couldn't be consistent in what we do, honestly. That's the major thing that we lacked towards the end of the season this year.
Yeah, you 34-31 to Cincinnati, 4-point loss at Cleveland. I mean, games that are right there, but you just didn't get over the hump. And then it kind of got Baltimore's a great team. You played them tougher than San Francisco did or Miami did, but didn't get the win. And then all of a sudden, the Tampa game kind of fell flat and just couldn't get it back.
Yeah. It was very disappointing.
Yeah.
You give us a little bit more on Mike Caldwell. You just said it's a little disappointing to see that news. What do they mean in your development? What was he like to play for? And, in this business, like you said, there's going to be a fall guy from time to time. But give us a little bit more on Mike Caldwell and what he brought to you guys on the defensive side.
I think he brought a little bit of creativity for us and allowing us to play a little bit freer on the defensive side than past years. And he was able to allow us to put us in different positions to be successful, I felt like.
Leon, I
want to ask Davon one more thing. You guys were so good at stopping the run early on. Was there structural problems? Was there what happened over these last 4 or 5 games where guys were able to run the football against you guys?
I mean, really, it's just consistency.
Yeah.
Honestly, we just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Derek's so good. But I thought they blocked pretty well for him. This wasn't typical run over people, Derek.
Yeah.
Did they do a better job up front than you guys were anticipating?
I mean, they did, but at the same time, we just weren't in our gaps. I mean, plain and simple, we just didn't play up to the level that we should have played at. And then, like I said, it was very disappointing on our end.
How hard is this? There's some crazy numbers out there, by the way, when you don't have anything on the line. The Jags were in this position a couple years ago against the Indianapolis Colts. When you have everything to lose, how hard is it to play in a football game against somebody that has nothing to lose?
I mean, that's a tough question right there. I feel like it shouldn't really matter. I mean, we had what we had right in front of us, and we missed our opportunity.
I think we got Leon now.
I think I'm hot.
Yeah, there
you're
you go.
hot.
There we go.
There he
I'm hot
is.
now. There we go.
Get back to Caldwell for a second. Are you surprised at all?
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the firing of Caldwell because, quite honestly, in the first half of the season, when the offense was sputtering, the defense played well. They kept us in a lot of football games. And when you got a defense that led the NFL in takeaways, and then you got two dynamic dual sackers, and you got Josh Allen and you got Trayvon Walker, I mean, that's a resume for success for any defensive coordinator. So he may be the fall guy in my opinion, because when you have the kind of collapse that this team has, somebody had to go.
I want to talk a little bit with you about the offensive line for just a second, and specifically yesterday, Cisco gets the interception. They're down 8, still in the football game.
Like the old Jags, by the way, last year. Opportunity knocks. You get that big turnover.
Big turnover. Here we go. They hit Zay Jones. He gets it down to, again, I thought he should have challenged the spot, but it was back at the 1. It looked like to me got right up to the goal line, whatever. You get the 3rd and 4th and goal on the 1-yard line, and seemed to be the problem all year is those situations, 3rd and short, 4th and short.
Well, I mean, I guess the reason why I wasn't so upset because of the loss, because I mean, we had seen this for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks we struggled, short all the in-goal line, and offense, it has to do with the interior of the offensive line. I mean, Fortner at times, I'm a stickler on techniques and fundamentals. He has a tendency to get overwhelmed because he doesn't trust his technique that much. And you know what? They ran a counter play. And, Trevor did the jump over or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, schematically, the play wasn't blocked properly by Fortner. And either way, if they had run the play or they had run Trevor, still wouldn't have scored.
I also noticed on the play where Trevor decided on his own, right? We were told that he made that decision, right?
Yeah.
That the
He's
left
done it before.
The left guard was coming out and pull. I mean, there was just all kinds of things happening in front of him that made it kind of tough to get that ball.
Well, it was a recipe for disaster, to be quite honest with you. Even if they had run the play that was called in the huddle before Trevor changed it, I don't think he would have scored either way.
Oh.
The Jags could not run the ball efficient enough all season. There's a miscalculation on the interior of that offensive line, mixed up with injuries. But for 2 years now, 3rd and 1 has been a problem on offense, an offense that has moved the football up and down. They tried to fix it in the draft. Anton Harrison, Brenton Strange, Tank Bigsby couldn't fix it, Leon.
Yeah, well, listen, that's a slight on the offensive line. Anytime it's 3rd and goal, or 3rd and 1, or 4th and short, that they run a rollout play or they're trying to throw a pass or whatever. I mean, that's an indictment on the offensive line. You're literally saying that you don't have any confidence that interiorly that we can make the blocks necessary to score a touchdown or get a first down.
There was a great play call on the last drive. You got the ball with 1:40, no timeouts. Trevor scrambles for 8 yards. You got a 2nd and 2, and they dial up a deep ball to Calvin Ridley. Got to hit that one.
Yeah.
We got to catch that one. We got to hit that one. We got to drop that in there. There it is.
This is like the season in a nutshell in many ways, right? It's there.
Yeah.
Just didn't make the play. Inches on either way. I asked Christian Kirk about this play today. Said the nickel did a pretty good job not giving up the play early. There's a little pressure. So you add up like an inch here, an inch for Trevor, an inch for Ridley, and you get that.
Yeah.
That's how close this game can be.
It's a game
right,
of
Devon?
inches.
Game of inches.
Yeah, game of inches.
And when you lose, you usually don't win the game of inches.
When you lose, it's a yard.
Well, again, it's the NFL.
It is.
They get paid too. I get that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you knew. Now, you guys knew, and I'm sure Doug warned you, you're going to Tennessee. You know it's tough. You know Vrabel was ticked off. You know that they had lost a couple games. It's when you watch the NFL, a team can look really bad one week. It seems to get their attention, and they come back and play better the next week. You knew all that going in, right?
Yeah, I mean, every team has a shot to win a game any week or any scenario, any point. So, I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
All right. I can't go this long and not mention something positive. How about a power play along the way?
All right, let's do that.
Power Play of the Week, sponsored by IBEW Local 177, powering Jacksonville since 1912.
All right, Devon, let's give you something good to talk about, man. How good were these guys this year? Josh, 17.5 sacks. Trayvon, year 2, gets to double digits. I mean, they led the league in terms of a sack tandem.
Yeah, I'm very proud of them. I mean, I felt like they played very well throughout the whole entire year. They were able to produce. They were able to affect the quarterback as much as possible. And like I said, I'm very proud of them.
Yeah.
Now the question becomes, big payday for Josh Allen and next step for Trayvon Walker.
It started with my mentality. and never wavering and never questioning that first and foremost. And I know I always had the talent to take over games and to be a dominant player that I know I am. Just how well mentally can I stay locked in and know what I can and can't do.
It was definitely a jump, but I feel like there's a lot more room for improvement. Obviously, we didn't achieve what we wanted to as a team, so I feel like in order for me to be the best version of me to help contribute to the team goals, then I definitely have to make an even bigger jump for year 3.
Leon, real quick, tell us how you would defend against Trayvon. I get Josh Allen. He's got all kinds of Trayvon Walker is just a brute who just uses his strength as a tackle. If you were blocking him, what would that battle be like?
Well, naturally, I would win.
Well, of course.
But he's a big physical specimen. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 6'6", 275, who's got good bench strength, good turn on the corners, able to flip his hip, uses his hands well. That's been the maturation process of him going on to the season, because first of all, start of the season, he was just straight up and down.
Right.
But now he's got a plethora of moves. He's got spin, he got hand slap, he's got the one-arm bar and all that kind of stuff. He's got the rip move come on through. So listen, I'll tell you something, the best thing that ever happened to Trayvon Walker is the success of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Because when you're crossing somebody that's eating, you want to eat too. The best thing that happened to me when I was in Jacksonville is I had a guy across from me named Tony Baselli that's wearing a gold jacket.
Right.
And I can't let him eat, and I don't eat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you want to stay competitive. That's how they both get better.
And Josh Allen might have benefited from Trayvon just a little bit as well. One quick thought. You had the business side of things this offseason. You got a nice contract. Are you involved in that at all? Will Josh be involved in that? Is that just your agents, and then give me a call when it's done?
It's more the agents give me a call when it's done. He's not as involved, I would think, but he definitely wants to be here. I know that for sure.
Yeah, well, it's a nice phone call when you get the job done, right?
Yeah.
Hey, when we come back, more with Davon Hamilton, more with Leon Searcy, and more trying to find answers. Hey, that's kind of what happens when the season comes up just short of expectations, and there's plenty of blame to go around. The interesting thing is the players often take a lot of it. Where do you think it belongs? We're live at Sneakers in Jax Beach.
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Coming to you live from Sneakers. Sponsored by Farrah & Farrah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
We play this game to win championships, and we're not in a position to do that. And that's what we all signed up for at the beginning of the year. And unfortunately, that didn't happen for us. And all I can do is just go look myself in the mirror and find ways to get better, so I'm able to put my team in a better situation next year.
Yeah, buckle it up and head into year 4, by the way, for Travis Etienne.
Wow.
Coming off another nice season, 1,000 yards plus, almost 1,500 yards total. And that's without a lot of blocking up front, quite frankly. Welcome back to Sneakers in Jax Beach, as we are back at the beach. One more episode of Jags Report Live, and we've had a lot of fun the last couple years. It's definitely a sour note around here. We do appreciate Davon Hamilton, Jaguars defensive tackle, for being here, along with Leon Searcy, former Jaguars great, of course, Dan Hicken, Brent, Martineau. The big news today, Mike Caldwell, Jags defensive coordinator, fired moments ago. That news came out. We'll talk more about that as the show goes along. And, well, we could start with the blame game, because that's kind of what happens in this business. And obviously there's a little blame for the defensive coordinator gets fired, but who else, Dan? Is the roster good enough in Jacksonville? We love a lot of these players. There's a lot of good milestones. Are we good enough in Jacksonville?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think they got to keep working at player procurement. I feel like, just my opinion, last year after the season, I think they should have worked a little bit harder at getting some guys that were be able to help the team this year. And I feel like that didn't quite happen enough, and there weren't enough. I'm sure Davon will tell you that they're good enough, right? I mean, I totally respect that. I just feel like you got to, man, in the NFL, you're either going forwards or you're going backwards. You can't ever stand still, and I felt like we stood still in the offseason.
That was a miscalculation, because bottom line is you did stand still at 9-8, but you didn't make the playoffs, so it really is going backwards, even with a more difficult schedule. There's some semantics in there. Injuries, schedule was harder, but at the end of the day, on the surface, Leon, it was a step backwards.
Yeah, you know what? I think the most disappointing thing for me watching the team is that in the month of December, the intensity. I mean, listen, I know the guys get it, but at the intensity level, the game, winnable games against opponents that are inferior to you, I think the Jaguars, in most occasions, in my assessment, didn't put them away. I mean, the Bengals, the Browns. I mean, you beat the Panthers, but I say there was opportunities for this team to just put teams away, and I think this
shoot. It was 10-7 against Baltimore going into the fourth quarter.
It was.
I mean,
hey, listen. you're not alone in that thought. Doug Peterson said today that we beat ourselves. Like, we were good enough to beat these teams, but we beat ourselves. Get a thought on your head coach. Obviously, some disappointment tonight from you. You're learning that Mike Caldwell is not going to be your defensive coordinator. Doug has pushed a lot of right buttons around here. Where's your confidence level that you guys can get where you want to go?
I mean, I think we're going to have a good opportunity next year. We definitely have to do a lot more work. We got to do a lot more soul finding, finding our way during this off season, working together. But I mean, our goals are still ahead of us for next year. We still have a plan, and I feel like we're going to execute it.
Doug Peterson knows a lot more football than I could ever dream of. He has a Super Bowl ring, so I just think sometimes when the offense wasn't going as well as it should have been going, maybe in those occasions, Leon, you get the points and you don't necessarily go for it on fourth down, and you understand that, hey, we're on the road, this is a tough game, let's get these 3 points and see what happens and keep chipping away at that lead if they're in the lead, or add to the lead if we're in the lead. I just felt like he's stubborn. I get it. That's his style. He wins with that style. Mm-hmm. But, I thought maybe this year at some point you got to say, look, we're not playing offensively like we think we can.
Well, listen, I don't have a problem with him being the riverboat gambler.
Yeah.
But when it works, it looks good.
Absolutely.
When it doesn't work, we criticize him. So, I mean, listen, I like his aggressiveness at times, but there's some particular times I'll be screaming at the TV saying, just take the 3.
Yeah.
Just take the 3. All right, give us the opportunity to defend and see what we can do with that.
Right.
I'm going to defend Doug here, though. If you go back to the game flow part of yesterday, when he kicked or didn't kick and went for it, I think he was right to go for it in both spots.
Yeah.
It looked like they were going to give up 40 points in the game in the third quarter.
Which then leads us to play calling. It's 4th and 7, and we're throwing the ball 4 yards down the field, and you're sitting there going, let's get past the sticks. Now, sometimes things happen. Maybe that's the check down, whatever it is the case. I don't know again. But that to the fan watching, to us watching, we're like, oh, my gosh, what are we doing? We got no shot at getting the first down here.
Leon, this is a tough job, right? If it works, this guy's a genius. If it doesn't, everybody's like, it was a bad play call.
That's what you sign up for, though.
Yeah.
You sign up for that.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Well, I mean, this collapse. I mean, everybody's accountable for this collapse. All right, everybody organizationally is accountable for this collapse, because you just don't go 8-3, number 1 seed, and all of a sudden you're out of the playoffs. So whatever the remedy is, they need to figure it out this off season to where next year, because all the expectations of this team before the season to be in the Super Bowl, to take over the AFC South, it's just unfortunate the way we collapsed towards it.
I got to be careful around here to defend anybody, but I would say this: it's like if you don't have a run game, and you got guys jumping off sides and it's 1st and 20, whatever, I'm not really sure what a play caller can do to make up for all of that stuff.
I agree.
It makes you limited in spots. But, like you said, everybody's got a play in the blame game, and that includes the play caller as well.
The drive of the day, driven by your local Ford dealers.
More fun stuff. This was a hell of a throw, wasn't it?
Yeah, got the lead right there, 10-7, man. We needed more of that throughout the year, because this guy, Zero, is certainly capable of it. Calvin Ridley, his first year back in 3 years, had a 1,000-yard season. You had mentioned earlier he probably had 200 or 300 yards of penalty yards that he didn't get because he got interfered with. So in the end, he was an important part of the football team. And again, business decision. What do you do with Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, Leon, we'll put you in the GM seat. How about it? I mean, Calvin Ridley's a free agent. Where would you be without him? Do you bring him back?
Well, I mean, I would bring him back, but I would talk to Trevor. Yeah. I really would. I would talk to Trevor. I mean, there was issues about, a couple of games ago, but whatever. But I mean, he's a dynamic receiver, and if he's given the opportunity, I mean, I don't know if he's a number 1. He may be a good number 2. But he had a great season. He had 8 touchdowns, and he had over 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah, I think there's belief in the building, what you just said. He's more of a number 2 guy. But can you find a legit number 1? That's the second part of that. Who's replacing Ridley? And that's hard to answer. Draft, free agency. T. Higgins is going to be expensive. Do you have the money to be able to do that? Here's some other free agents, by the way, on the wall that says it all. Jags have a lot of decisions to make.
Yes.
Not just Ridley. Josh Allen, he's got to stay. Jamal Agnew, best return man in the game. I'm not sure he'll stay. Smoot. I mean, I hope you exchange a lot of phone numbers, man. It's going to be a little different, Davon, next year, I think, in the locker room.
I mean, that's the business, though. You know, I have free agents every year. Not every team's going to be the same the next year, and that's what we have to adjust to.
Do you guys know, like, with each other, like, oh, he's a free agent, he may not be back? Like, were there, today, did you say goodbyes to guys and stuff?
Well, there's a little bit of discussion. You know,
Yeah.
we understand people's situations and whatnot, but not really necessarily what's going to happen. You know, anything can happen as far as front office goes.
Right.
But, yeah.
Well, Davon Hamilton was a heck of a story even to get back on the field this year. When we come back, a little bit more on that, and also sunshine and rainbows, man.
You found some?
I tried not. I wish we just have to do the segment. Even me today. It's tough for me today. Positive guy to be too positive. But I'll tell you what. I think I found something.
Okay.
That'll give you some positivity going into the offseason. When we come back, Jags Report Live, Sneakers in Jax Beach. One more show here in this season on Fox 30.
Kenny!
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Coming to you live from Sneakers. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
Sunshine and rainbows. And I put these guys up here because, to me, they're building blocks.
Okay.
Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think Cam Robinson's going to be back.
Well, you better be.
I think he better be back. I think
He better
Anton
be.
Harrison might be one of the bright spots of the year.
He had a good year.
I think you found the right tackle
Rookie
in the first
guy?
round.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, you got to pay him. He's going to be back. And how about Trayvon Walker? So, coach, quarterback, left tackle, right tackle, pass rushers. That's a positive thing to build, right, Dan?
I think so.
Now you got to make some right decisions around it.
Well, yeah, you got to build around him. You got to have players like Devon. Now, Devon, how important is this offseason for you? I mean, what types? I mean, after everything that you've been through, and I want to talk about that just a little bit, but talk a little bit about how important the offseason is coming up here for you to get your, I'm sure, your strength and continue to get healthy again.
Yeah, it's very important for me. I mean, I take every offseason very seriously.
Yeah.
I try to limit certain foods, try to get in the best shape as possible for the season. And this year is just no different. I just got to take it to that next level and enhance my game even more.
By the way, you looked like you were about to do that in camp. You looked like you were ready to go.
Yeah.
And then we're in Detroit, and you get, I think, what's called a rare spinal abscess, which is basically an infection.
Mm-hmm.
And this is serious stuff, though, right? I mean, this was a
Very life-threatening, career-ending type of deal.
Did you know that right away? I mean, because everybody, it was kind of a mystery, obviously, to protect your best interests, but and HIPAA and all those things. But did you know it was that severe right away?
When I found out when I was in the hospital, it was that serious. I mean, not initially though,
Right.
not at all.
Did they know you were out of the woods pretty quick, or I mean, because paralysis can be a part of this sometimes, right? I mean, how quick did you know that you were going to be okay and on track to get back?
Kind of like right after surgery, I had a conversation with my doctors, and they were kind of trying to ease me. Everything's going to be all right. We've cleared out everything. You're going to be fine. So,
What did it mean to you, and just to get back this year, just to be able to put on the uniform and go play with your guys?
it was an incredible blessing, you know. I mean, honestly, at that point, I didn't expect to even come back this year or even play football again, know. But I was able to be blessed enough to come back and provide for my team as much as I could, and it's just a crazy experience.
And we don't know your position, like, what would you say you were at percentage-wise was, when you got back? I mean, you're working your way back still? Are you 100% now?
I felt pretty good. I felt pretty close to 100%. It's just the lack of reps, lack of seeing different things, different reps and whatnot, and it was probably the most difficult part about that process.
You guys have a different perspective. This is your livelihood. You got a new son, obviously. We talked about Ace when you came on the show in the past, but then this experience, how much perspective did you get that there's this work-life balance, even though we all go crazy about what you guys do for a living?
Yeah, it was a huge perspective, huge eye-opening thing, but at the same time, it was a blessing for me. Obviously I couldn't be out there playing football, the thing I love to do, but I got to be able to enjoy some time with my son and with my family and whatnot, and it was just a huge blessing.
And you're good now, right? You're clear?
Yeah,
I mean,
completely clear.
No hiccups or down the road to worry about?
Nope.
That's great news. All right, hey, there's a guy on the sideline for the Jags yesterday, Marcus Pollard. We all know him, former NFL player.
There he is.
Well, his son, Micah, went to Bartram Trail and now plays at Michigan, which I got to believe this Ohio State guy and Davon Hamilton and Marcus have some pretty good conversations over the years. But, I mean, are you pulling for Marcus's son or saying, sorry, man, I can't root for Michigan tonight?
It's It's a tough one. You know, I want him to do well. But you know, I'm never going to say.
Devon, the only guy I heard come out is from the Ohio State who's even said anything nice about Michigan is Maurice Claret.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think he came out.
NIL, right?
And he came out and he said, I like Harbaugh. I like his comments because he's sticking up for the players and thinking that they should get money. But you can't root for Michigan tonight.
Not at all.
Okay.
Will you watch it?
I'll watch. Yeah.
All right. Should be a good game. I think you're going to be disappointed. It might be a tough weekend for you, Devon. I kind of like Michigan in this game. But Washington's been a nice story. Hey, when we come back, the Jags story for 2024. What does the schedule say? And that's always a tough thing to predict in the NFL.
A little early.
But we do know one thing about the schedule if the Jags want to go where they need to go.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we come back. Jags Report Live. Thanks to Davon Hamilton for coming out. Leon Searcy as well on Fox 30.
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Coming to you live from Sneakers. Sponsored by Farrah & Farrah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
I don't know where all that stuff lies. You know, I'm just going to try to enjoy what I can now with them. And then I would be grateful to be a part of this team. I can't speak for anybody else. And so wherever that takes us, I know that I'm going to work as hard as I can to help get this team back on track and doing what we do.
That's Zay Jones, who also had a tough year. Feels like a lost year, back and forth from injury. And I'll tell you why this stings for the Jags fans, and maybe why they'd want to pass blame to coaches and GMs and everything else, is because I think this fan base really likes this football team.
Yes.
What they did last year, the guys in that locker room, you kind of fell in love with them. And to see it disappoint, you almost don't want to blame the loved one, you know?
And listen, Zay Jones had a terrific year last year, 82 catches, and you can't. Injuries happen in the NFL, and it limited him, obviously, to what he was able to accomplish. And, again, without him, without Christian Kirk, I mean, you got guys out there who aren't supposed to be out there, making plays for the Jags, but that's what they were relegated to at season end. Look, but, again, you have to take that into account as a player procurement guy, right? As a general manager, you have to know injuries happen. We got lucky last year.
Yeah, it did.
Last year we were relatively injury-free. That rarely happens in the NFL.
By the way, I do want to update you on the breaking news. If you haven't heard yet, Mike Caldwell, Jags defensive coordinator, let go, and we're hearing that the entire defensive staff has let go. So that's a big shakeup on that side of the ball. Now, eyes to next year just a little bit. We know the schedule has been procured because of where the Jags finished. And really what adds in there is like the Raiders game and the Eagles game on the road. Jags only have 7 home games next year, and we'll get into what those 7 home games mean right now.
Your keys to the game, sponsored by Greenway Kia.
Get more physical as our keys to next year.
Yeah.
More clean football games. And win at the bank. So you go back to that schedule and you're like, you got to win football games.
Yeah. You got to win at home, and that's a key part to it. And look, one of those games, we showed the 8 games. One of them will be in London, right?
Of course, yes.
One home and one away.
7 games in Jacksonville.
Yes.
They got to do a better job in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Again, you had a chance to go 5-1 in the division yesterday, which would have been great. That's the positive spin from this season, but you didn't. You lost that game, so you end up 4-2. But that's going to be the challenge now. Houston's going to be better. Indy's going to be better. Tennessee is going to be interesting to see if Vrabel stays or goes. That remains to be seen. He could end up in New England for all we know. So there's a lot of going, and that's every offseason in the NFL. We've talked about Devon was kind enough to tell it. It's a business, man.
Well, let's bring Davon Hamilton, Jaguars defensive tackle, back in along with Leon Searcy. I asked them if they want to do the Oklahoma drill or arm wrestle in this segment, but instead I think Leon's just going to take the easy way out, Leon, and just ask a couple of questions.
Well, that's been outlawed. Just no longer the Oklahoma drill.
What do you got for Davon over there?
Of course, I'm an offensive lineman. I asked a defensive lineman the question. All right, what's your first read if you got a double team? You got a center and guard work. You play the nose, right?
Play the nose.
Okay, you play the nose. So you got a center and guard double team. What's your first read on the double team that's coming at you right now?
You just got to beat your man.
Your man?
Whoever you targeted on, that's who you got to beat. Forget the guys doubling. You just got to beat the first person.
Okay. It ain't going to be that easy with that line I played with, but I like your answer, though.
It's all right.
All right. That was my question.
Yeah, I like the question. When X's and O's. Devon, one other thing for you, and I know the off-season came earlier than expected, but Dan asked you about getting ready for the season. What will you do in downtime other than spend time, obviously, with your family?
Yeah, spend time with my family and trying to get some rest, catch up on some sleep, for sure.
Yeah, it's a grinder. Thanks for coming out, man. We appreciate you. Have a good offseason.
Thank you.
And look forward to watching you play in 2024. When we come back, we're hungry.
Oh, my favorite part.
Yeah, your favorite part. We need this right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
What is on the menu? And Trevor Lawrence is on the menu. Is he going to be on the Jaguars' checking account in a big-time way is the big question here this offseason. We're at Sneakers in Jax Beach. Jags Report live on Fox 30.
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Coming to you live from Sneakers. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
It's reality. It's what it is. It's part of our story. And the leaders of this team, the foundation of this team, the guys that will be back in here, it's up to us that we act on it and allow it to never happen again.
Even the Jags that had unbelievable seasons had some mistakes yesterday when it mattered. Evan Ingram had a drop that led to an interception, but what a season he did have in Jacksonville overall. Hey, Dan, let's go. Favorite time of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Got the bar.
Thank you. One last time.
This Jags funeral's killing me here tonight.
What do we got tonight?
Negativity in town. Oh, that's like a quesadilla. That's fantastic.
That's sloppy.
That is good. We're super heavy in the show right now, so you just keep eating up. I'll talk a little bit. Welcome back. Jags Report Live. Brent, Martineau, Dan Hicken. And the big story here, Mike Caldwell and the defensive staff reportedly have been let go by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Doug Peterson talked today at 3 o'clock, said he's going to take time to process things, and boom, hours later, they've made a big move, and obviously comes on the heels of poor tackling down the stretch of the season and really poor defense overall if you look at the numbers the last month of the year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What else is on the menu? How about Trevor Lawrence? This was supposed to be the year you paid Trevor. Will they pay Trevor? Do they have to pay Trevor? Should they pay Trevor?
Well, they're paying Josh Allen a lot. If they had signed him last year, they wouldn't have had to pay him quite as much, I don't think. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
I think it's something you still have to consider with Trevor Lawrence. He's your guy going forward. I think Trevor has to play better, though, for the Jaguars, obviously. He did not take the step for a myriad of reasons. No one's saying get rid of him. He's 24 years old. He's a good football player, makes a lot of great throws. We need more from him, and Doug Peterson needs more from him, and maybe he needs more from the organization, too.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I would sign Trevor tomorrow and not lose a wink of sleep about it. Here's what he had to say about potentially an upcoming contract.
I have no idea really how it all works anyway, so I don't know. That's something where that's not really what I'm thinking about right now. I'm sure those things will come up as the offseason goes, but yeah, that's kind of all I really have to say about it. I don't know how that's going to go, and not really my priority right now. Obviously, that'll kind of take care of itself, and we'll figure that out as we go. But haven't had any of those conversations as of yet.
One thing that's important to note, you think you're getting a discount deal because of the way the Jag season finished. That's not how it works.
No.
This is like buying a house, folks. Whatever the market says, that's what it's going to cost.
So we can't
for
get him
Trevor
for like
Lawrence.
$30 million a year instead of $50?
Don't plan on that.
I was just asking.
It ain't your money, though. Don't worry about it. When we come back, the Jags make changes on defense. Now will they make roster changes on defense, and do they need to? That's what we talk about when we come back. Jags Report Live from Sneakers in Jax Beach.
Get some of these.
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Coming to you live from Sneakers. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
A year that everybody look back in their career, I think, and realize like you had a bunch of guys from top to bottom that could do it, and we had the opportunity to do it today. You get into the playoffs, and anything can happen, and we didn't even give ourselves that chance.
Yeah, give credit to Andre Cisco and company. They say it how it is. They know they missed an opportunity here and wasted a chance down the stretch. You don't always get an opportunity to go to the playoffs in the NFL. Welcome back to Sneakers in Jax Beach. Brent, Martineau, Dan Hicken, and Leon Searcy.
Big Sears.
What's going on, gentlemen?
I appreciate you joining us, man. And
appreciate you having me on.
Big Sears, what was not making you made the playoffs a lot of your years.
I wouldn't know. I've always made the playoffs.
Every year?
Every year. Every year that I played. Now, I was hurt the last 3 years.
Okay.
I was hurt last
So you took advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's hard to make make the playoffs?
He also
in the
won
NFL?
rings at you, so I guess he's the wrong guy to ask any of these questions.
I've been winning all my life, Dan.
How much will they fired Mike Caldwell, defensive staff? It sounds like, looks like. How much do they have to remake the defense from a roster standpoint, do you think?
Yeah, because no one's exempt. I mean, we talked about this earlier, that everybody is accountable for what happened, this major collapse. So, I mean, coaching staff, defensive players, all those kind of guys. I mean, the best thing these players could have done is audition, for the off season, because you don't know, you have to factor in that the coaching staff may be gone.
Keep in mind, they didn't get a lot out of Foley Fatukasi. Paid him good money. Roy Robertson-Harris extended. He was okay, but not great. Davon had the unfortunate injury. Jags got to be better on the interior, on the offensive front, and on the defensive front next year. Well, how about our tackle tracker? Rayshon Jenkins led the way with 7 tackles. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, Foye Aluakin, 173, does come up short, so he doesn't lead the league in tackles for 3 straight years.
It's a heck of it. I mean, it's a lot of tackles, man.
Foye, by the way, had a good year, paying a lot of money. That'll be an interesting decision. And did they have to keep him, especially since Devin Lloyd's been up and down?
Well, I mean, they're going to negotiate with him. I mean, he has to make a decision. They may ask him, because they already paid him a bunch of money. Yeah. They may ask for a hometown discount, and I'm not sure he wants to be in that kind of position. But that may be something he may have to do if he wants to stay on this team.
Well, they don't have to pay Tyson Campbell coming out of this year, and probably won't pay Andre Sisco based on their years, Dan.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, like I said, you wouldn't have thought this, and we didn't do this last year, and I think that was part of the problem. But now you got to kind of go over each and every individual. You know this, you lived this, you went through this, you were a free agent at one time, you came to Jacksonville. Just, is there always, you're going to play somewhere. It's just a question of where you're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, these guys had to understand that down the stretch, not sure, there's no assurance that the coaching staff is going to be there. So literally, game by game, you're auditioning for the team that you're with, and you're auditioning for a team that may be interested in you in the offseason.
Got to always earn it. Leon Searcy, thanks for coming by, man.
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Hey, thank you.
When we come back, it's a big day for Huskies. What about Aspen? We'll find out. Living her best life. We'll be back from Sneakers in Jax Beach.
This is the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Coming to you live from Sneakers. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.
I'm not discrediting them whatsoever, but it's super easy to play when you got nothing to lose. You know you're going into, I mean, trust me, I've been in that situation. It's easy to not care and go play your best ball because you're free. But we learned a lot this year.
I think that's an underrated soundbite from Andrew Wingard. The Jags did not handle the expectations of success, the idea of being an elite team very well. Being the chaser's easy. Being the hunted is not, and they didn't handle it well.
You start getting everybody's best shot. It's a little bit cliche, but it's true. And again, next year, totally different again as we hit the offseason, see what the Jags are what the plan is. And we're learning a lot tonight as it looks like, well, we know Mike Caldwell has been let go, and it looks like some of his coaches as well.
It's a night for Huskies potentially against Michigan, and maybe it's one more night for Aspen here on Jags Report Live.
It's time for Ask Aspen, sponsored by Subaru of Jacksonville on Atlantic, the right choice for your next vehicle.
Are you ready to finish the season strong? Are you ready to get your final win of the regular season? Can you do it? All right, let's do it. For the grand finale, make your pick.
Has been relieved of her duties.
Listen, someone had to take the fall.
7 and 10, just not good enough, Brent.
Yeah, that really isn't. We expected more.
Yeah.
Out of Aspen. Olivia won the Fedora. Aspen, star of the year. I had somebody in the team hotel this weekend say, hey, love watching the show. You and Aspen. It's like they think I own Aspen. It's Olivia's dog. All right, hey, the big story, Dan just mentioned it. Mike Caldwell did get let go. Jaguars defensive staff, it sounds like. The changes are coming. Will that be it?
It looks like it. Yeah, I think that will be it. Now, look, the players, there's going to be a lot going on with them, obviously, but we don't know about the general manager, and we'll see about that as well.
Somebody had to take the fall, and somebody did here in Jacksonville. Hey, thank you for coming out each and every week, Jags Report Live. It's still been a fun season, but hopefully 2024 will be a little bit better. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Action Sports Jags Report Live. Coming to you live from Sneakers. Sponsored by Farah & Farah, the exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars.